I want this game to be a love letter to games from the N64 era. The sense of adventure you have in Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time is something that I want in the Calcium Crusader 64. And my aim is to make it an adventure. A big adventure in that retro style. Hi, and welcome to the Calcium Crusader 64. Who is the Calcium Crusader? 2 years ago, I set myself the challenge from the start of October to the end of October to create a game and release it within that time limit. This was a 2D randomly generated platformer that took inspiration from games such as Dead Cells. The whole game centers around a skeleton that has been brought back to life in a world that has been converted into a disco. That game did get released in time. It is very much like in a demo state. It was just like almost like a game jam build of the game. But it is being shown off at EGX with Falmouth University. So if you're at EGX, if you want to play one of my games, the Calcium Crusader and also Timothy Tiny Hat is also being shown. I'm really thankful that they were showing a couple of my games there. So yeah, go and check out the Falmouth University booth at EGX. Before I begin, I need to address this sweatshirt. I didn't know what to go as for Halloween, so I created my own sweatshirt, because you can't go wrong with a pun. King. I'm sorry. Anyway, on to the Calcium Crusader 64. So, why bring back this character? I really like the character design, and I wanted to have another game that centers around this character and delve more into his story, and actually have a fully fledged game centering around this character. Back in April of this year, I did the Global Game Jam with a few of my friends, and we created this game called Clown Town. When creating this game, I really loved the PS1 and sort of N64 inspired graphics. And I wanted to sort of delve into that more. So back in May 2024, I started creating a project on the side of my main game. It sort of took inspiration from like growing up with a VCR TV, sitting down and basically watching either a VHS or playing one of the old games. Basically this idea, this concept, this prototype centered around you hopping from VHS tapes to VHS tapes with different gameplay styles in each one. Now, I tried for the first time cloth physics for this character, and I realized that I can make a red cape. Thinking back and looking back at the Calcium Crusader, he wore a red scarf. So I wanted to adapt that, bring the Calcium Crusader to 3D. Now, to start with, I sort of tested out some environments, such as like a sewer level and like a graveyard scene, just to get an idea of what the game could look like. And I sort of toyed around with the aspect ratios of the game, making it obviously look very retro inspired. Every time I was working on this game, it was very much on the weekends when I wasn't working on this little car of mine. So I've not had much time developing this game, but I would like to continue. So I sort of tested out the idea of like bringing in lots of colours and making it sort of like a disco themed world. So initially I had it really bright, really colourful. The hue and saturation was way up to the top, but I dialed it down a little bit for when I redid that level. But the video that I put on my YouTube and Reddit, I really appreciate all the support, by the way. Thank you so much for everyone who said so many kind things about that very short video. But the Calcium Crusader, I wanted to bring to 3D. One of my favourite games of all time, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. But what I love about this game is even though it is so stressful to play, I'd say stressful to play, it's a stressful environment for all the characters to be in and all the NPCs to be in. There's so much charm in this game, and everyone you meet has their own stories and their own lives that you can sort of follow. And I'd love to have that sort of aspect in my game. The sense of adventure you have in Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time is something that I want in the Calcium Crusader 64. And my aim is to make it an adventure. A big adventure in that retro style. Talking of The Legend of Zelda, the best way to test out the art style of my game is by borrowing the models for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and seeing if my character looks like he fits in that area. So I temporarily borrowed the models for Kokiri Forest. I'll give them back afterwards, I promise. I promise I'll give them back Nintendo. This was just to get an idea of the sense of if the Calcium Crusader would fit in that world. So here's like a swamp level that I was working on. I had the idea of like creating a swamp environment would have been quite cool to have as like the first intro dungeon of the game. This game started development in May 2024 and stopped development in June 2024. Midway through June is when I stopped creating this game. Not because I don't like it, because I love this idea. Just to focus more on this little car of mine for my master's deadline. Here is the final map I was working on. It was a small graveyard scene that I had the idea of like introducing the character, having a wander around, and basically leading on to the swamp level. I want this game to be a love letter to games from the N64 era, especially games such as The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. So if you like those games, I hope, I know, you'll like the Calcium Crusader 64. You know what? At the end of the video, I'm going to do a little what I'm working on at the moment. I know I've sort of done it before, but now it's a thing. It's a thing now. So I'm going to have a little theme tune. That's the little theme tune. I've recently done a very short film for the Ardman Academy, so I'm going to show you it now, and I hope you enjoy it. I've really been enjoying this course, so thank you for being patient when I'm not creating games, because I will be creating games come next year. I'm just still on that little break that I'm going to be chilling and doing stop motion. So without further ado, here is Tea Time, a short film by me. Ooh. Huh? Huh? Thank you very much for watching. Again, I really appreciate all the support for all the projects I've been working on, and a big thank you to Falmouth University for showing my games at their booth. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching this spooky episode.